because they were surrounded by water and mud and not knowing how long the house was going to stay in place or if it was going to stay in place.
Flash flooding and mudslides in Okanogan. Tonight, a first look at damage done to the area.
The wet weather was on the gentler side today, but I'm tracking more thunderstorms in the forecast for tomorrow and for the start of the work week as well.
I just hate living in a country where people have to be fearful going about their everyday lives.
It's Gun Violence Awareness Weekend. Rallies here in Spokane and across the nation after 2 weeks of mass shootings across the country.
Well, good evening and thank you for joining us for the KREM 2 News at 6. I'm Channing Curtis. Tonight, we're getting a better look at the damage in Okanogan County following severe flash flooding and mudslides yesterday afternoon. Now, thunderstorms hit the northern part of Washington on Friday. The most severe damage was done to homes on Bonaparte Lake Road, south of Wakanda. Now, this is actually that same area that was ravaged by the Walker Creek fire last summer. Okanogan Emergency Management says the mudslide happened in a burn scar area as water came down through Lightning Creek. The mudslide slammed into 2 houses and pushed outbuildings into one of them. It also pushed 2 cars out onto the road there. An elderly couple was in one of those homes, and their son described the moments after the mudslide hit.
We were parked out in the pasture, and my parents were in the front room window waving at us, but we couldn't reach them because the water was flowing so fast and so deep, so much material coming down the creek bed. So the next door neighbors were able to come from the other side of the house through the mud and take out the residents here. We had called for air evacuation, but called it off once we got them out.
Now, thankfully, no one in any of these homes were injured. Emergency management in Okanogan County has cleared most of the mud from the roadway, and a State Route 2 is reopening in that area. Now, it seems like these storms just keep coming. A gray and wet Saturday for sure, but as you plan the rest of your evening, you might be in for a little bit of luck. Meteorologist Michelle Bosch joining us now. So, Michelle, could we get a break from the rain sometime this evening or tonight?
Yeah, this evening we are going to get a break. So if you have some errands to run or want to be out and about, maybe get your exercise. This evening I think we're going to see some dry weather, but we're certainly not done with the wet weather. In fact, we will still have flood concerns throughout the day tomorrow. A flood watch is in effect for those areas shaded in green, and that includes Okanogan County. The ground is saturated, and while the rain was gentle today, we could see additional thunderstorms tomorrow, and some of those heavier rains could cause additional problems with mudslides, with ponding of water in area roads, and all other types of flooding issues. Satellite and radar showing the gentle rain that we saw earlier today in Spokane is pushed off to the northeast. So as we kind of zoom in, you can see Spokane is dry right now. The shower activity now across North Idaho. So Sandpoint getting a little bit of light rain, but it looks like even Coeur d'Alene starting to dry out a little bit. Here's a look at the 48-hour rain totals, kind of keeping a running tab here for the next 24 to 36 hours as we just keep adding more rain to it. Nearly 3/4 of an inch in Spokane, over an inch in Deer Park, a little bit drier on Moses Lake, about 1/4 of an inch there, 8,500ths in Omak, and down towards the Palouse, over 3/4 of an inch of rain. So this is not a cold air mass, but because of the clouds and rain, temperatures have certainly been suppressed. 57 in Spokane, that's as warm as we've been all day. Where they had some sun breaks, they warmed up to the upper 60s out towards Moses Lake. We are looking at dry weather this evening, rain moving in overnight, and for tomorrow, thunderstorm chances for tomorrow and Monday.
June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. After the recent mass shootings in Texas, Oklahoma, and New York, people all over the country are demanding harsher gun laws. So KREM 2's Janelle Finch joins us from the newsroom on how a group of Spokane students are advocating for change.
A group of Lewis and Clark students organized a rally at the Spokane Pavilion for gun control. They were joined by other local students, former teachers, and supporters of gun reform. I spoke with organizers and attendees about why they believe it was important to rally locally in an effort to address a national concern. Stop the silence, end gun violence. Rally attendees say now is the time to stop gun violence from becoming normalized.
The exception should be gun violence. It should not be the status quo.
During the rally, students and parents called for change in gun control and regulation. Listening in the group of supporters was Libby Lowry. She says the news of recent mass shootings has made her rethink her experience as a former teacher.
It makes me so angry every time there's another shooting. It's just these children in school. I was a teacher, and I think about, what if that was my classroom? What if that was my kids or my grandkids? It's just, something has to be done about guns in this country.
Lewis and Clark student Carly Dykes helped organize the rally. She says it's a great way to bring together supporters, but there is still more work to be done to end gun violence.
I hope to see conversation. I don't think this is something that is just an hour long. I think this is sparking an uproar and showing our local government and adults that are against this movement that we're not going to stay silent because we're kids, and we're not going to stay silent because we're not old enough to vote. I'm hoping that it's the start of a really long journey of reaching our end goal, which is gun control, moderation.
Lewis and Clark senior G. Kelly says Spokane can be a part of a greater movement to gun reform.
Local communities do have voices, that Spokane is not just another city in the wind. We are important and we can make a change.
Kelly says he's getting ready to graduate, but has a younger brother going into high school. He says he's going to keep fighting for this cause so his brother can feel safe and make it through to his own graduation without fear of tragedy. This weekend, Kelly says he'll be going to Washington, D.C. with Students Demand Action to continue advocating for gun control. In addition to this rally, local high schools have also hosted walkouts as a show of solidarity with those directly affected by the recent mass shootings. In the newsroom, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Now, demonstrations are being held all over the country to bring awareness to gun violence. A large march was held on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. The group was made up of Moms Demand Action volunteers, survivors of gun violence, and even students who have been demanding an end to violence in schools. Everyone involved was wearing orange to represent gun violence awareness. And even the White House was lit up in orange last night to kick off the awareness weekend. In the week following the mass shooting inside a Uvalde elementary school, President Biden called for action to be taken by Congress and to bring an end to these types of shootings. Now, to put things into perspective, every year there are about 40,000 firearm-related deaths in our country, and almost a third of those are homicides. A doctor with UW Medicine is part of the Firearm Injury Research and Policy Program at Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, studying what leads to these shootings. She says her team sees more deaths in places where the firearm supply is very high and gun laws are lax. Washington does have laws requiring universal background checks and extreme risk protection orders.
That allows people to petition if they feel someone is demonstrating concerning behavior. It's a civil order, and it would remove the firearm temporarily for a period of 1 year.
Now, in Washington, there were 877 gun-related deaths last year. This evening, we have an update to a story we brought you last hour. The Stevens County Sheriff has found the missing 8-year-old boy. Now, according to a Facebook post, he was found safe by one of the ground search teams. And Crime Stoppers is offering a cash reward for anyone who can help solve the murder of a 16-year-old Meade High School student. Owar Uppu was a sophomore when he was shot and killed at a birthday party in Spokane Valley last year. Investigators say they believe there are people out there that have information critical to solving this case. You don't even have to give your name in order to collect the cash reward. All you have to do is call the tip line at 800-222-TIPS or go to p3tips.com. 7 billboards have also gone up around Spokane to bring more attention to this unsolved case. And 1 week after a little girl was attacked by a cougar in Stevens County, she is finally out of the hospital and now back home. 9-year-old Lily was attacked at a camp near Fruitland in Stevens County while playing in the woods with some of her friends. Now, Lily was airlifted to Sacred Heart and spent hours in surgery because of injuries to her face and upper body. The brave little girl was released from the hospital on Friday, but she still has a long recovery ahead of her. More than 1,000 people have already donated to a GoFundMe account set up to support her, and they've raised almost $100,000 in less than a week. The Washington Department of Natural Resources says it is hopeful that this fire season will be less intense than last year.
It's great to have this rain to reduce the drought that we have throughout the Northwest, but also to recognize again the fact that things could change very quickly.
The high rainfall and melting snowpack that we're seeing could actually help when it comes to wildfire season. But DNR is still asking people to prepare for wildfire season to help prevent fires. This year, DNR has 120 engines to help fight fires. That's the same amount as last year. They are also using funding from lawmakers for 3 more 20-person crews to help out across the region. Well, new hope for an end to a nationwide baby formula shortage. Today, the formula plant at the center of that shortage is back in action. But how long will it take to get that formula back on shelves?